This story goes back to value being the key issue when you're selling something and not relying on price. Years ago, I was selling systems that monitored temperatures and that sort of thing on heavy tractors and vehicles that were transporting perishable goods. A fellow knew of our reputation. He called the company and he asked, could he try out the product? Well, before I do that, I always set groundwork for a trial, which is, let's find out what it is we're trying to prove, what is it you're trying to learn, and how do I win? So this guy had a list of 3 very good points, very good reasons that illustrated the value of my product if it performed properly, and I quickly agreed to the test. We installed the equipment, we went 60 days, and then I went back to talk to the guy about the equipment. Well, when I walked in the door, I could tell immediately from his body language that we had a problem. He was sitting behind his desk with his arms folded and kind of a blank stare on his face. And I went over the 3 objectives that we had for the trial, and I asked him on each point, how did that go? You know, on each point I got a begrudging, yeah, that went okay, sort of answer. So when we recapped those things and we all agreed that we had proven what we needed to prove to make a sale, I asked for the business. And he said no. And I said, why not? Which is, by the way, one of the values in asking for the business. If you don't get it, you can always say, why not? He said, because the product just doesn't do enough for me. And I said, well, we went into this test with these 3 objectives. We met all of them. What else do we need to do for you? And he said, it doesn't provide enough value. I'm sorry. And I said, okay. I was a little puzzled, but, you know, I picked up my toys and went home, basically. Well, the next day I get a call from this guy, and he says, and what the hell kind of salesman are you anyway? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I told you that your stuff wasn't worth it, and you left. And I said, yeah, what was I supposed to do? And he said, drop your price. And I said, look, you know, we have to make a living too. My company puts me on the street not only to provide valuable services to customers, but also to provide income for the company and for the stockholders. And when you told me that the product didn't have value, you can't cure that with price. It's either worth a fair price or it's not. If price is the only thing that you're buying, I would never have walked into your door in the first place. And he said, yeah, well, get your raggedy butt back over here. And when I went over there, he had a proposal on his desk. He had about 5 different things that he wanted in the contract, and I modified 2 of them. We shook hands, and that was it. But it's a powerful illustration. You can't cure lack of value with price. If you do, you're going to be unhappy. They're going to be unhappy. They're never going to stop beating you up on price. The next vendor that walks into the door with the lower one gets the business. You have no security. There's simply no reason to do it. Sell value, stick to your guns. If you demonstrate the value and they still won't buy it, walk away.